Hey there, guys. We've got news for May 25th, and this week joining me once again is OmegaWeapon. So you can say hello again, Omega.
Hi everyone, Asenzer. Hope everyone's doing pretty good.
Yep, doing great. So we have Final Fantasy VIII this week with just expert sharpshooter Irving. This is a banner that is slightly reordered based on the JP schedule. This was not the next one expected. So Global is mixing up the order a little bit. But it was due pretty soon anyway. So you asked to join for Final Fantasy VIII. So of the Final Fantasy VIII cast, is Irving one of your favorites, or is it maybe one of the others?
No, not really. He's pretty low on my list. But Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy game if I was forced to choose. It's hard, but it would be.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So this is the Armory Step Up ticket. So if you do pull for Irving, you'll get one of the tickets for the Armory stuff. We're not going to go over those every single time they pop up. Grab the killers first. If you have both the killers, grab one of the chess pieces. It's kind of whatever. But the killers are good.
Yeah.
But the unit. So do you want to talk about this unit, or do you want me to?
You can go ahead because I'm not super familiar. If I recall from JP, he wasn't, all that great, just like in the game.
I actually used him though, and when I played Final Fantasy VIII, he was on my three-person team. It was always I would use Squall, I would use Irving, and I would use Quistis as my primary three units.
Really, I
Yeah,
would I would use them when I get bored. When I got bored of using the other ones, then I would try them out and craft all those different kinds of ammo. But that's about it.
yeah, because his special ability, the ammo, if you push the button really quickly, it like did a ton of damage, which is the reason I used him. But anyway, we're getting off topic from Brave Exvius.
Yeah.
So in Brave Exvius, he is basically just a damage dealer. So Irving, he's a little tricky depending how you want to rate him. Okay, so let me explain. So his LB and SLB does no damage. It's just setup moves. His big damage move is what pop over right over here. It's this. You do his LB or his SLB, and it unlocks this move. Physical damage, one hit, 1850 modifier with defense ignore, meaning it's like 3,600 something. Okay, let's do the exact math. So 1850. I hate the way they do this. Times two. It's 3,700 modifier, which is pretty strong. Now,
Yeah.
the catch is if you're dual wielding, this will hit twice. So then you can double it to a 7,400 modifier, which is basically Genesis levels if you're dual wielding. So
That's-
it's pretty good, right?
yeah.
So here's the catch. For one thing, Irving is completely built around double hand. So going dual wield with him is very hard to gear. But you can do it. It can be done. The bigger problem is I don't have him in JP, but from what everyone has told me, including me watching videos of him dual wielding, this hits very slowly with dual wield, meaning it is extremely hard to properly cap both of the hits. Now, it can be done, especially if you stagger your chainers on a chain turn and you really stretch out your chain really far. You can cap both of the hits. But it's not easy. It's a big headache, but it can be done. And if you do, his damage is pretty crazy up there. So that's pretty good. On the other hand, if you're just using him, quote unquote, as intended, it's kind of just whatever. It's decent, but not great. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about a unit like that? Do you think it's like worth the headache to go through all that, Omega?
Uh, Personally, no. I think there's a lot of other units that would be more valuable for somebody bring than to try to go through not only gearing him but setting that up as well. But
Mm-hmm.
if if you wanted to, I guess you could make it work depending on what you have.
Mm-hmm. And one other kind of problem with Irving, I would say, is the fact that his tags. He is a water tag and Final Fantasy VIII. But basically, as we kind of know, water is one of the last elements to get a leader, and once you do get a leader for water, At that point, the game has moved on to specific leader skills like, rebels, evokers, crystals, not really element tags anymore. So, yeah, unless he's going like a team with Squall, he's just not going to have a leader skill, which is a big problem.
Yeah, that's will be a problem for him, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And I actually, and his amplify is water only, which again, not the greatest element. So he's like, he's a great, powerful unit on paper, but I feel like in reality, bad category, you're not going to have a good leader skill for him unless you're doing like him on a light team with Squall, which is just awkward. It's a bad element. He has to force dual wield for the good damage, which is very, very gear intensive. He can't gear for killers on all races in that setup. And even if you do all that, he makes your chaining a nightmare. So, yep. I don't know. It's a weird unit.
Yeah, definitely seems like that.
But then again, after saying all that, I would not doubt there's someone that goes through all these hoops and makes him deal high damage and dark visions, and he might be a big deal for a boss. Who's to say? I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
But there's my brief overview of Irving. So high potential, in my opinion, not worth the headache, but that's just me.
I agree.
So his STMR is a two-handed gun. Not anything special. It's got Beast and Machine Killer on it. Other than that, very, very generic. And then his
STMR weapon, of course.
Of course, like that's all they know. Of course.
Yeah.
And then
they're going to give us an ability, a passive.
I know. It's. I swear, it's so tiring. And then his Trust Mastery is just whatever. It's Bird Killer, which is who cares. It's whatever. And yeah, that's the unit. So if you like him, go for it. And then his vision card is very generic. It's good for Final Fantasy VIII. Other than that, it's whatever. 130, 500.
Well, I do like Final Fantasy VIII, but I don't think I like it enough just to pull for nostalgia reasons only. For Irvine, anyways.
Do you plan to pull on the Squall Quista Spanner when we eventually get it?
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
With what little I have left at this point.
And then we are getting some leader skills for the other Final Fantasy VIII units. Kyros, Zell, the 5-star Squall, Cypher, and Irving. These are the old 5 stars. So the only Neo Vision is Kyros and Ward, although these two can be awakened. But yeah, so this will be useful for the locked content, which we're going to talk about in just a second. The event is a raid. It's a raid, whatever. Some gear. The gear is, decent. It's okay. Luck Junction is being... I didn't realize they're actually rerunning this. Okay, so Luck Junction is great. I love this. This is one of the very few equipable double gil materials, and you definitely want to have something like this equipped on a unit at all times, except for trials. Like, raids, Mog King, farming, when you're doing your Esper dungeons, always have Luck Junction or one of its alternatives equipped on a unit, and it's just free double money. So why not? So this is really good.
I always have that on, and I've been continuously pretty much maxed on Gil for a while now.
Definitely, very, very good. Hey, I didn't even realize GF extension is being rerun too. This is kind of nice. So this is like the budget version of Ihana's TMR. I know a lot of times in my videos I'll use Ihana's TMR and people would be like, I never pulled her, what do I do? Esper stats, honestly speaking, are such a minor deal, it's really not that important. But if you want to squeeze out every little bit of power from a unit, you do want to max their Esper stats. This is only 100%, it's only half of the cap, but if you don't have Ihana, this is the second best option. So
yeah, it's a good one, definitely.
Other than that, it's a raid. And then we're getting... What was that?
Sorry. That Tonberry brings back a lot of bad memories trying to kill all those Tonberries to get the main Tonberry guy to come out.
Oh, yeah, the Guardian Force one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're getting a free unit, Edea. This is Sorceress of the Present Edea. This is one of those free units like Renault, Sonnen, stuff like that, Kelger. You go in here, there's 8 stages, you run them all, you farm her to EX3, use her as a bonus unit, and yeah. As far as the unit, honestly speaking, she's one of the weaker free units. Kelger and Sonnen can deal decent damage. Edea, not so much. She's a dark locked mage, and she's gonna pretty much never see use except for Final Fantasy VIII locked content.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. I like using those free units when I can.
Mm-hmm.
When they're actually good to use.
So this kind of stuff irritates me right here, and this is not the global version. This is the JP version doing this. I hate the way they give you these stupid units, and there's like 15 different abilities to awaken to level +3. Like, this is so intensive on the black pure crest. Like, why do they do this? Why don't they just give you like 1 or 2 to enhance, and the rest of them are just automatically +3? It's so dumb. Inefficient.
Yeah, that is. And she has all of those?
All of them. Yeah, and no, you should definitely ignore pretty much all of them because you're not going to use a D in the first place. But it's like there's so many units. Like, you pull like a new unit and a new mage, and you'll see they've got like 7 different black magics to enhance to +3. It's such a big crystal investment. You don't even use most of the skills because they're not worth it, which I guess you would then say don't enhance them, which is the correct answer, and I don't. What I'm saying is the developers should just realize this and just make them free. Like, this is just a goofy design decision. But it's the same way in JP, so I guess it's their fault, but I kind of wish Global would... Global used to do it, by the way. Do you remember the very first +3 awakenings like 3 years ago? We used to get them automatically +3 for no cost. Like, they would just come out of the gate on Global already at +3 level. It wasn't until It wasn't until like a few months later they stopped giving us the free awakenings, and I don't know why. I wish they wouldn't have done that. I enjoyed having those free awakenings to +3. Bring them back, please.
Yeah, I don't even bother with the Aja skills, like the AGA ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some support units I've enhanced, like their bolting strike frames all the way for when in Clash or Dark Visions. You want them to support chain just to get a little bit out, but that's it.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And then we're getting awakenings for Renault and Angelo, the Neovision's base version. So overall, at a brief glance, it looks like they're just copy-pasting the enhancements from JP. And the issue is, she is a unit that really wants to be dual-wielding, and she did not get the dual-wield cap. So that, like, really, really handicaps her damage potential. So because of that, like, she's still not super great, even after awakenings.
That she was good for like 1 second for the apocalypse. I think.
Like, if they just gave her the 8 times cap, she still wouldn't be that good, but she'd at least be usable as a budget option on like dark teams and stuff. But without that, like, it's just like she loses so much to you have to force double hand basically because she doesn't have the cap. That means you're losing her Chronicle weapon, which we'll talk about in a minute. You're losing her STMR, which gives flat stats. Like, it's such a, and she really gears poorly for it. It's just it's a real train wreck of enhancements, and I wish Global would have fixed them. Maybe they did. I only briefly glanced, but it looks very similar to the JP enhancements, and I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing. So Global doesn't really seem to be doing any upgrades here. So, yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
And then the events. So in JP, these equipment quests had a special mission to do it with Final Fantasy VIII only. It wasn't required. These were optional missions for extra lapis. Global has been removing those missions, or changing the missions to be not locked to a series, which in turn makes these equipment fights very, very simple, because you just take your literal best units and kill it on turn 1. Like, use 2B or Chizuru or whatever you want, and turn 1 kill it, turn 2 kill it, because the missions don't, or the requirements are gone. You can use whatever you want. And the whole reason these were challenging is they were to get all missions. It was locked to a series, and Global's been removing that. How do you feel about that, Omega? It's kind of, I've asked people, and they're kind of like split. Some people say the way I feel, which it just makes it really. It's making the game, just like nerfing the game, making it too easy. On the other hand, a lot of people also say they like it because they don't have the good units, and therefore they're able to get the missions, whereas if it was still series locked for the missions, they just couldn't do it. So how do you feel about it?
Well, I understand both perspectives, and empathize with both because as a veteran player, like you and a lot of people, I would like to see them have kept it the same because that's actually a decent challenge, and we don't get a lot of those. And even for you know a veteran, you still might not even have all those, and that's I think part of the fun of it, at least for me, anyways. But then again, I can see someone who doesn't have all of those units, doesn't have the same gear that people who have been playing since launch have been able to accumulate over time, get frustrated by the fact that that's that one mission they're kind of being locked out of. So I understand both viewpoints and, empathize with both. But personally, I'm on the side of they should have kept it the same, at least for me.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And as far as the gear, this gives 500 attack power to Irving. So if you do get Irving, this is pretty good for him. The Clash of Wills gear, actually, I think this is better than the Emperor's Ring for Irving. I have to math that out. In any case, it's a good item. Make sure you get it. And then for this one, it is the upgrade for Renault. And again, it's a one-handed weapon, but she's getting 1,000 magic from it. Plus, she's getting 500 more from her other offhand. So this is the reason she's such a train wreck, because she kind of has to go dual wield for all these passives, and then she's not getting the chain cap while dual wielding, which is just so weird, so bad.
Yeah, that's terrible. Make some of the units usable.
And then the other mission, this is for Renault's Silver Crowns. Now, this one is still locked to, this one is hard locked to Final Fantasy VIII only. I do remember this one from JP, and by memory, it was kind of tricky. I think I didn't pull Squall immediately, or did I? I don't remember. I don't recall specifically this fight. I remember the fight being kind of annoying, but I still did it. So this one could be tricky. Could be tricky on Global if you don't have good Final Fantasy VIII units. Thankfully on Global, I have off-bannered the entire cast all the way to EX2, so I should be able to do this fine on Global. But on JP, I didn't have all the Final Fantasy VIII units, and it was kind of tricky.
That sounds interesting. I mean, if you can do it without any of the new units and just the previous ones, like with Renault and the Awakened Squall, Awakened Squall and Zell.
Yeah. So we'll do that on Thursday. And then this news, I don't understand the point of this. Now this, I got to get on my soapbox for a minute. I don't like the way they're doing this. No, okay, so I understand. I understand that War of the Visions is closely linked to Brave Exvius. Like, the same team basically works on both games. It's the same world, technically speaking, etc.
Yeah.
But why are they advertising War of the Visions in Brave Exvius if it has absolutely nothing to do with Brave Exvius? Like, I totally get collaborations, crossovers, where they're getting like a vision card on both sides. But this news literally has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Brave Exvius. It is 100% War of the Visions content. It is not connected to Brave Exvius in the slightest amount, other than it's Reagan. But there's nothing going on in Brave Exvius. There's no crossover in Brave Exvius. We're not getting a vision card. We're not even getting login rewards to celebrate whatever this is. This has nothing to do with FFBE, and yet they're advertising it here. So I don't know. That just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't care about War of the Visions. I really don't. I mean, for those of you that love the game, I don't mean to say bad things about the game, but it's just like, I just don't care about it. It's like advertising, Mortal Kombat in Brave Exvius. Like, if I wanted to play Mortal Kombat, I'd go play that. If I wanted to play War of the Visions, I'd go play that. But I'm playing Brave Exvius, so give me Brave Exvius news, not this kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is really weird to me. And I play War of the Visions, regularly. I like it, and but yeah, that makes no sense. I guess maybe from their perspective, they're thinking, well, Reagan is, whatever popularity in Brave Exvius, so, maybe if we advertise this in Brave Exvius, we'll, maybe entice people to try War of the Visions who haven't. I don't know. I guess that's the only possible reason I can think of, from the development perspective. But yeah, it is kind of not the best thing to do, because it's blatantly obvious that they're trying to shill for it.
Exactly. And like I said, all you have to do to make it Brave Exvius relevant is just give us some login campaign. Like, we're going to give you some free 4-star EX tickets to celebrate War. You sometimes give us something to tie it into. There is just nothing connecting it to Brave Exvius. But anyway, there you go. We have said our piece. The last thing to discuss is this. This is from a few days ago, but this is a pretty big news. I've been considering making a standalone video about this, and I still may, but I don't know. It's I don't know. I am really just burnt out on the whole discussing dark visions and all the problems related to dark visions, because here we go again, another not specifically dark visions problem, but a problem that has been brought on because of dark visions. So, for those that don't know, this is a really big news. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The summary is, because Riku is overpowered in dark visions, they are going to be nerfing the counter mechanic as a whole across the entire game because of Riku. So, because Riku is too strong in dark visions, and because there's an unwritten rule that you don't directly nerf a unit in gacha games, well, as far as I'm told, technically they can, according to the terms of service, but just no one does because it would be bad business. So what they're doing is they are going to indirectly nerf Riku by instead nerfing items. So Blizzard Orb, Black Belt, Sturdy Headband, Gladiator Shield, and the counter materia, these are all the sources of unlimited counter. All of them are getting a cap on counters per turn, which basically shuts down Riku. We think, we don't know, that people may still figure out ways to make her work, but at a first glance, it would seem like this is going to, kill Riku in Dark Visions. But this also has pretty heavy side effects to other units. For example, Chao also is really, really nerfed in terms of his counter build. Other people like Abigail or Sylvie or Kresnik, etc., anyone that counters to, for example, refill your limit gauge, all of those are just hit by the same nerf as a side effect. So how do you feel about all that, Omega, just to get your viewpoint for this?
I'm really disappointed because of just how widespread that's going to affect not only the units that you mentioned, but a lot of people who use counters for other things besides Riku.
Yes.
That feels really bad to me, really.
So really. There's basically two major parts of this. There's the Riku stuff. We'll talk about that in 1 second, but there's also the side effect part. So for me personally, just to give my thoughts on it, as far as the side effects of this, the really penalizing, Chao, Abigail, Sylvie, all that kind of stuff, that I'm really unhappy about. I do not like that they are nerfing things like Abigail, because in my opinion, Abigail countering was not overpowered, at all. Yes, she does fill your LB gauge, she heals the party, but I don't, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm off base here, but I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine for game balance. Yes, it's a strong tool, but it's so is using Melissa's cooldown on 2B and dealing a trillion damage. Like, we do have strong tools in Brave Exvius, and we use these tools to overcome encounters. So Abigail countering was a powerful tool. Chow countering and countering 74 times and filling the morale gauge from 0 to max in one turn. Okay, that I feel like probably was crossing the line. At that point, that was overpowered, I would say. And I can understand them wanting to adjust that. Okay, sure. But I don't know. It just feels bad. I mean, nerfs just always feel bad, period. But that's my thing here. I don't like the fact that they're nerfing all the counters in the entirety of the game. I wish they would have just nerfed Riku and been done with it. Now, the other part of this nerf is Riku directly. This is just like, straight up aimed right at her heart. So how do you feel about them nerfing Riku? Now, I realize it's not directly nerfing Riku, but come on, it's nerfing Riku. We realize that. So how do you feel about them nerfing a unit about as directly as they can get away with in a gacha game? How do you feel about that, Omega?
Yeah, I don't like it one bit. I didn't see anybody. I fail to see how it, impacts their bottom line to such an extent that they feel they need to take this action. I mean, what is it so broken that people left and right are just ranking way higher than they should be? I mean, and is it enough of a player base to really affect them in a way that would warrant this kind of reaction? From what I've seen, I don't think so at all.
See, now for this one, I'm actually going to disagree with you. I actually do think Riku was kind of a problem. Now, I do realize that is kind of an unpopular opinion. A lot of people did enjoy Riku, and I totally recognize that. I understand that. I personally just didn't like Riku that much, and it had nothing to do with, people with Riku are pushing me down in the ranks. I've seen those people on Reddit saying that people that didn't like Riku only don't like Riku because they're worried that their rank is being threatened. That, I mean, maybe some people, sure. But for me personally, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. For the last year and a half, I have been basically always the same rank in Dark Visions. I am between 500 and 100. That is my bracket. I live in that bracket. Every month, I'm in the same bracket. I have been steadily in that bracket for a year and a half. Every month, I'm between 500 and 100, and that's my place. Riku or no Riku, I have always been in that same bracket. I am still in that same bracket. So me not liking Riku has nothing to do with, I'm worried that Riku players are getting higher ranked than me. That's not it at all. I didn't like Riku because it's too much RNG for me. And people that watch my videos, I'm not the kind of person that just rerolls Dark Visions all day long, the entire 2 weeks, hoping for that high variance roll. Like, I'll run it, like, for a good video, I'll run it maybe 20 times maximum. And even that seems extreme. And then I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with this randomness. I'm sick of variance. I'll just, if I wanted to get a 20 billion for the video and I didn't get it in like 15 to 20 runs, I'll just show my, 18.7 video and say it can go higher. I just hate variance. I hate variance. I hate the extreme randomness. And that's why I didn't like Riku. It was just way too random for me. So them killing Riku, I'm like, okay, rip, too bad. In my opinion. I don't know. I didn't like her.
Hey, I hate re-rolling for variance too. I never did it a lot, especially if it takes a lot of turns of setup to go through. Because it's like, now I gotta remember all these turns just to cross my fingers and hope that the boss does all of these attacks so she'll counter enough. And I've had her EX3 for a long time and I never even pulled on her banner. And I'm either in your bracket or in the top 1,000 normally in Dark Visions, and I don't try a bunch of times to get a higher roll. So, but I can see people who have who don't have as much that have her. And, that's kind of the incentive to pull for units. because you take a look at their kit and you see what they're capable of and what you could possibly do in those situations. And like like just in Clash of Wills, like using Blizzard Orbs on Sylvie and Abigail, in order to counter. That's part of their pull, is is not just their abilities or whatnot, but their counter abilities as well. You have to keep that in mind. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
overall, I'm kind of upset over this, but I mean, we'll see how it actually plays out. I guess that's all we can do. Nothing you
Mm-hmm.
can do about it.
Yeah, and the one more thing I will touch on that people have also said, and this part I am totally in agreement with. There's been quite a few people that have said they have pulled for Riku because she's been rerun on banners. They've had like not vision card, unit pick tickets after she became a thing. People have run her in the shard dungeons. Some people even pulled for the premium Zac just to buff up Riku. And those kind of people are saying that the compensation that we're getting for this nerf is just like irrelevant because Riku's been in the Shard dungeon for 3 months because they expected her to keep being good in the future. They pulled for Zac. They pulled for Riku on the rerun banner, stuff like that. And they feel like all of a sudden their Riku is no longer good anymore, which is completely true. Like if she can't counter, you're not using Riku. Like Riku's non-counter build is whatever. You're not using it.
Yeah.
So Riku is just dead after they pulled for her, spent for her, pulled for Zac because of her, and the only compensation is some STMR moogles. And that I completely agree with. I agree this compensation is terrible because if someone pulled for Riku or Zac and all that, and all of a sudden that team they pulled for is just dead, the compensation should be a lot better, in my opinion. I don't know what it should be. Like, obviously you can't just refund everyone in the game that pulled on banners, but something should be. It should be better than some STMR moguls. As far as what
Yeah.
it should be, I don't know, but better than this.
Yeah, I would definitely be upset if I was one of the people who, spent money on a rerun and spent money on Zach.
Mm-hmm.
That's really bad return on investment there.
Oh yeah, because Riku is just you can't use her anymore. I mean maybe you can. I don't know. We frequently expect like a nerf or a change to kill a unit or a strategy, and sometimes really smart players figure out a way anyway. So maybe even after the nerf, Riku can still be used. I'm sort of doubting it, but I've been wrong before. We'll have to see.
Yeah, the community finds a lot of interesting ways to do things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that is pretty much it for the week. Anything else we should cover before we close it out, Omega?
No, not that I can think of.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining me this week.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. See you guys on Thursday for the EX battles. Later.
Bye.